He came over here talking about what's the cannabinoids y'all be talking about? I
Cannabinoids.
didn't even know what that was. I was like, cannabinoids.
And that's why we have to talk to our culture.
Even the doctor, he was like, oh, you can't, you have to know how much, what's your level, like what percentage works for you. You might get something that make you paranoid because it might be too potent. I was like, that makes sense. Like, cause
you can take a DNA test actually, and it'll tell you how much sativa you need and how much indica you need.
Wow, I never knew that until just 2 seconds ago when you said it.
And that's what I came back here to Atlanta to do, is really teach everybody,
So you living out here. Then we doing the interview now.
I'm
sorry,
right?
you
recording?
Oh, he's
ready.
recording. I'm like, we over here doing the interview now.
About to run the money up, the money up, about to run the money up, the money up, about to run the money up, the money up. Up next up, let them bitches know what's up.
What's up, y'all? We are back with another one. We at the Queen of Cannabis birthday party. Auntie Amy, one of the real aunties of Atlanta.
Hey.
Y'all already know we got a legend of business. She's also the Queen of Public Relations. Better get into it. Happy birthday.
Thank you, girl.
Thank you for having us. Keep it what?
P.
Okay, what does keeping the P mean to you?
Means no snitches allowed.
Okay.
Keeping it P is you handle yourself like a G at all times.
Period. I feel like you keeping it P by coming back and putting people on and educating people about cannabis. Like, how did you get into the weed industry? Like, that's so random.
It's not really random. I got sick in 2018. I woke up one day and I couldn't get up. And so I had an opportunity to go to LA to a real farm and learn everything I could about holistic medicine. I was misdiagnosed for 4 years. I had a broken neck.
Wow.
So I walked around for 4 years with a broken neck, and I got tired of pain pills because that's all they want to do is feed you medication. And I basically told my mom, like, I'm moving to LA. I'm going to be a pothead. And I don't want to lose my kids. So I'm going where it's legal.
Yeah.
And I went there and I spent 2 years living there and learned everything I could.
How did you know that, like, cannabis was like the answer or a solution?
I mean, my dad was a hippie growing up, and he, would always tell me that if he ever owned a company, that you would have to smoke a joint in the interview to pass the drug test that he required, and he always taught me that, cannabis, he used it, he got more done in one day than most people get done in a week.
Yeah.
And he taught me how to utilize it as a medicinal purpose. And I just wanted to see what the medicinal could do for my chronic illness and my chronic pain.
Right. So do you feel like people should educate themselves before smoking weed and maybe buy it from a dispensary versus just getting it on the street randomly?
Absolutely, especially in Atlanta. We need safe access here, which unfortunately only Delta 9 is legal here. So it's not the same as THC, but the most important thing right now is to vote and figure out who our political figures are that support us in plant medicine, and make sure that we as the hip hop community, the entertainment community, the cannabis community, we support that person and get them into office so that Georgia can get in with the other 38 states in the nation that are legal.
So tell me if this would go with educating yourself on what dosage is right for you, because some people say, like, they smoke weed and weed makes you lazy or it makes you unfocused. Like, it's a lot of positive evidence behind weed, but some people have negative experiences. So how would you ease those people who have negative experiences and educate them?
So you can take an actual DNA test that can tell you how much sativa and indica that your body needs. Our brains have cannabinoids, and so our cannabinoids deplete, and so we need to replenish those cannabinoids, and that's how you, through plant medicine, is how you replenish to make yourself really normal. Like my dad always said, the cannabis just makes him normal. It's not a anything other than that.
It makes you more of yourself, probably.
Yeah, I mean, you're not taking it to get high, you're taking it to be normal.
Okay. Have you ever had like a moment where you were, on the medicine, on the plant, and you felt like, I'm happy I am high because it made me think of this? I probably would never thought about that sober.
Oh God, yes. I mean, I'm a creative. So
right.
The only way I can create or even drive in Atlanta traffic is if I'm elevated.
So when you're elevated, do you feel like you act like you said? Well, you say you are acting normal.
I act normal, you know. When I started working in hip hop, I told them that, you know, I'm smoking weed. I don't care what y'all say. And I don't want to be treated any different because I watch the men smoke blunt after blunt after blunt. And in order for me to deal with all of these people at all of these events and the things that I've done, I have to be high.
It's a lot.
Or
It's
and I'm
overstimulating.
not taking Xanax.
That do not do Xanax, guys.
Yeah. Like my weed is my Xanax. You know,
Yeah.
it cures anxiety. It makes you, you know, sativa keeps you awake. Indica's a heavier OG that makes you, you know, get a little sleepier. You take indica at night, sativa during the day keeps your brain moving. It's more of a head high.
Right.
So you just have to learn, you know, what suits you.
I love how you're an advocate for women, the hip hop community, minorities, because most people wouldn't expect you, because you're a white woman, to be so involved and so hands on, and to be so like you really can relate and you understand and you empathize. Where do you feel like that love for people and that equality comes from? Was it how you were raised?
So when I was 14, I started dating a black guy, and I was actually kicked off of cheerleading and in 8th grade. My mother put me into a mental institution, and I was locked up because I was dating a black guy.
Wow.
So after that, my dad never had an issue with it. So I always tell people, like, I knew back then because I got more love from black people than I ever got from white people. Like once I, you know, my family turned on me, it was like I had black women that just like raised me and taught me love, you know, that I just didn't get from my family. Or, you know, my dad loves me, don't get that, you know.
Right.
But they don't understand.
Yeah.
You know, and it's always been my goal and my purpose. Like God, I told my dad, I was like, remember when I was dating like drug dealers and gangbangers and all that stuff when I was young? I was like, it prepared me to work in the music industry, because that's really what most of them are, like retired gangbangers. And
you
you
got
know,
experience before you knew.
yeah, like I feel like I knew I was supposed to be this. I just didn't know until I became this.
Right. What made you want to get into music?
So I was waiting tables when I was young, and it was a production company, and they were a liaison with Midway Video Games. And they, you know, I could take their music to any club in Atlanta and get it played, because the DJs played your music back then because you had really good music, you know? So we would be able to get in with the DJs just because our music was good. And I gave Timo and Cujo Goody their first song on a video game. And I decided that being a connector of the dots and being a voice and stepping out, I started working with Ghetto Mafia. I started working with Yin Yang Twins. I started working with, you know, a lot of people, Silk. I started doing big events and just did a whole bunch of things. When I worked with Juice, the first lady of BMF, she was actually my mentor when I was in my 20s.
That's dope.
And I worked with Juice Magazine, and she, you know, taught me everything that I knew. And after, you know, after I started working with her, I just learned how to be a boss.
Period. So being an OG in the hip hop community, how do you feel about the change in culture over time? And also, do you feel like the old Atlanta is coming back?
Oh.
So we good? What happened? Okay. Sorry, I'm just had to make sure. I can't miss this.
Can't miss this.
Okay.
The new culture is saturated. I think that we are going back to the old ways. I think Atlanta is trying to go back to having fun again.
Yes.
Because we forgot how to have fun. You know, we go out with the real aunties of Atlanta to the clubs, and everybody's like, you guys are always out at the club. And I'm like, well, if you look at it like I do, I feel like we're teaching the young people how to have fun again.
Yeah, everybody's so stiff and want to be so gangster. I swear, I just had an experience like that last night. I had a pretty big artist come through, and it was like the energy of the crew was like, you know, and I'm just like, hi guys, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I definitely love that, bringing back the fun. Because we had Peanut, who made the first verse and Lee to rock with it. He was like, you know, Atlanta was a bounce music and fun and dancing and stuff like that.
We dance.
Now everybody like, you know, Draco this, stiff that, you know, don't want to get up and dance in the club.
So
need
we want to
that.
make Atlanta fun again, because I grew up during the Freaknik. I grew up, when we were popping. Like, I grew up in the good days, like when Velvet Room and all that stuff, like the beginning.
Yeah. Are you
Like,
from Atlanta originally?
so I moved down here when I was 17. I grew up in Decatur, Illinois. I had dropped out of high school twice, and I was really heading down a road. Like, I was really making runs to Cabrini Green in Chicago, and I was
Lord.
crazy.
Don't try her,
So my
y'all.
my black women that were raising me told me to pack my stuff and move to Atlanta with my mother and get my life together, and I did.
What's your most what accomplishment are you most proud of?
Queens of Cannabis.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I'm proud of myself, overcoming health issues. I got sick in 2018, and I've had surgeries, and I've had cancer twice, and I'm still here and never
Period.
gave up.
Yes, ma'am. I love that.
Still here, still fighting, still, my dad was like, you should retire and just live in Savannah. And I tried it, and I had to come back, because God didn't put me on this earth to just live on, be disabled and not be
Yeah.
great. I have a voice, and that's my purpose in life, is to use my voice to help other people.
If you had to give any advice to the people out there watching, people who might want to give up or have self-doubt, or trying to overcome day-to-day circumstances, and they want to chase a dream like how you chase yours, what would you tell them?
I mean, take your time. It's not a rush. It's at your timing. It's at God's timing. Nobody can tell you about your dreams. Nobody can tell you to make or break it. Like, if you knew how many people doubted me, and I'm still here, and everything that I did, and I've slept in my car for this. I've not made money so many times, and it's not all about the money, but the money will chase you if you live in your purpose.
Yes, ma'am. I'm so grateful I got to meet you. Shout out to DJ Roots Queen, because I did an interview with her, and then she connected me with you, and I'm so grateful.
Our director of music, Miss Roots Queen, she's a pioneer as well in the music industry. And we've had to be two white women sticking together,
holding it down,
to really stand up for injustice. Yes. And we do a lot together. We use our face and our voice, for women and minorities.
I love that. Tell everybody what's next. Is there another event? I know you said something else coming up soon.
June 1st, at the Bookstore Gallery, we'll be having the Lizzie Jeff experience. It's going to be a divine bloom of beautiful roses and healing, and I'm going to teach my community some things that I learned in LA around these wonderful people and the spirituality behind cannabis. A lot of people don't understand the spirituality behind the plant and why you're really smoking it. And so Lizzie brings in just a divine manifestation, just beautiful energy.
I love that. How can they tap in with you to make sure that they don't miss the event? What's your social medias?
Okay, and you can find me at Queen of Public Relations, or it's official Queens of Cannabis.
Is that Queens with a Z?
Yes.
Queens
of Cannabis.
Of cannabis, like business.
So they don't think we're selling flower illegally.
Okay.
I did it for the business.
Thank you so much for your time. Happy birthday.
I love you.
This was such a beautiful event that you put on for your birthday, but it was for the community at the end of the day.
Yeah,
so that's very admirable.
I'm so glad to have you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Y'all make sure y'all tap in with the real Auntie Amy, Queen of Public Relations, the Queen of Cannabis. And make sure y'all tap in for another episode of Keep Peace Show. It's your girl Pac'Liyah.
About to run the money up, about